Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today I'm going to read a story titled, 2 years after divorce, faithless ex-wife wants to reconnect. And a shout out to Derek for sending this in. And guys, this story is about a guy, at the moment that he's telling the story, it looks like he's in his late 20s, and he's reflecting on how he met his now ex-wife when he was 22. And really rushed into the marriage with her, the wrong type of woman. Wait till you see what she does for a living. And to no surprise, she's a big giant cheater. And it turns into a big giant mess. However, our guy ultimately has the last laugh when he gets rid of her. And guess who's back after a couple of years? And things aren't working out too well from her. Obviously. And you're also going to see how, guess what? She cheated and got pregnant. And guess who's not around taking care of her? The lover. And I'll be going to go over here, guys, making the point that, number one, you should never rush into a relationship. Number two, once a cheater, always a cheater. Once they start, you start seeing the signs, investigate. And if you find out, get rid of them. Don't give them a second chance. And last but not least, they always come back. Usually the low lies that they cheat on you with and ruin the relationship or marriage doesn't work out, they come back. And always kick them to the curb, hang up that phone, and if you're that way, enjoy laughing about it. He says, it had been over 3 years since I last spoke a word to my ex-wife. She reached out to me last week and asked to speak with me. We had a 1-hour phone call, and that conversation brought this sad, miserable relationship to its ultimate end. This is my story. Why on earth would he have a conversation with her? But if that led to this story, which is quite interesting, okay. I found this forum a few weeks ago and have been reading avidly. It has made me sad reading the outpourings of so many broken hearts. I'm sorry to say it has brought some comfort knowing I am not alone in my situation. I haven't posted before because what comfort or advice can I offer when my own marriage failed so badly? But after my conversation with my ex last week, I realized there are so many similarities in all our stories. A series of checkboxes, and almost all of them are checked off. This is what compelled me to share. Well, before I read this, I'll say yes. These stories actually help guys get through these hard times, realizing they're not alone. Absolutely. And it helps guys hear these stories and know what to watch out for. Well, we met in Tennessee. I was 22 years old and she was 27. She was in her last year of, wait for it, nursing school. And I was in my last year of military service. Oh boy. We were both working doing deliveries at a local pizza place for extra money. We hit it off and became friends, and after a very memorable party one night, became much more. She pursued me in truth, but I was attracted to her and more than happy to reciprocate. When my military time ended, I took her out onto a nice dinner and proposed. How long was that since you started dating? Doesn't sound very long. Smack! Way too soon. I was so completely in love with her by that time. Our first year of marriage was great. I got along great with her family, and my family loved her. We did almost everything together. Then in year 2, things started to change. Isn't that amazing how quickly things can go downhill? Just 1 year, boom. Newsflash, I'm sure things were going downhill long before he even said I do. I was working full-time and going to school at night working on a degree in civil engineering. I tried to make the time we had together special and romantic, but nothing changed the fact that there was a lot less of it. I could feel her pulling away and losing interest in me. So I dropped out of school. I made a judgment that my marriage was more important, and I told myself I could always go back later. Things didn't really improve. Smack for doing that. So he's throwing away his purpose, his goals for the relationship. And look what happened. In fact, that probably made her even less attracted to him and pull away. When someone's pulling away, you don't go charging toward them, you back away. That's the problem a lot of guys have here. I learned something about her. She is like a kid who tires of her toys very quickly. She becomes bored with it and moves on to a new toy. Well, that's how women are in general. Just like that, they get bored very easily. That's why there's a saying, keep it new or it's through. For you dating relationship guys, you got to keep it interesting. If you want, even the good ones, you got to keep it interesting or they're going to get bored. I try to keep her engaged and keep things interesting. Gifts, vacations, different kinds of romantic bonding. It was like bailing out a sinking ship. She offered very little in the way of help or encouragement. It's exhausting to try to save a relationship when you're doing it all alone. Then the cheating behavior began. That's predictable. Unfortunately, I'm sure the cheating behavior began long before he even got married to her. But again, the old keep it new or it's through, you're doing that when times are good. When times go bad, you don't chase and give gifts and stuff like that. You don't reward awful behavior. That's only going to encourage them to think, wow, this guy's a pussy. This you guys all know quite well. She checked off the boxes. Protective of her phone and her laptop. More frequent absences from the home. A complete withdrawal from intimacy. Affection from her went to zero, and even hugs and kisses from me were coldly received. Dude, this is when you cut your losses. You throw in the towel and say, okay, this isn't working. Obviously, time to end it. And go back to the civil engineering degree and all that. It happens. Instead of dragging this shit out. I read this so many times in other posts here. It's like cheaters don't want to cheat on their affair partner with their spouse. I knew it was going on, and I was highly motivated to catch her. We lived in an at-fault state, but she covered her tracks well. I couldn't prove it. Well, again, they aren't stupid. Okay, that's a problem a lot of guys make. They think that their girlfriend or wives or women in general are dumb. They're not. They've mastered this game long before guys even come close to their level. They've been pulling sneaky crap and manipulation tactics since they were little kids. You don't believe me? Pay attention, guys, or you're not paying attention enough. It's the truth. I think she noticed I was checking out of our marriage. All my attempts at initiating affection, or heck, even talking to her for that matter, stopped. After that, she tearfully confessed to an inappropriate relationship with a coworker. Imagine that. A cheating nurse. Whoever would have thought? She swore it was never physical. Yeah, her nose just grew like in Pinocchio. She made a lot of promises and apologies. I never heard the term trickle truth before coming from her, but I suspect I was served a hot bowl of it, with a side of blame shifting. She wanted to work on us. She wanted counseling for us, and I believed her, or at least I chose to believe her. My heart and my intellect are not on speaking terms. Yeah, his heart's saying, oh, I hope this is working out, and she really means it, but in his mind, his common sense is like, nope, this is bullshit. It's always about people's actions, gentlemen. We went to marriage counseling for a few weeks. That seemed to make her uncomfortable because the counselor asked some very probing questions about the emotional affair. I think she suspected, as I did, that there was more to it. She discontinued after 4 sessions, but we seemed to be doing better. It was almost like I had my old wife back. No, you didn't. She knew that you were on to her, so she had to put on the show. Well, I think she stopped the marriage counseling because, again, it wasn't favoring her. They don't mind doing the marriage counseling if the therapist or counselor is grilling the guy, making him accountable for her actions. I was very unhappy and decided to put all my unproven suspicions behind me. Smack! How's that going to work out for you? This lasted about 6 months until the cycle began to repeat itself. Oh, imagine that. Once again, she checked all the boxes like before. I confronted her about it twice. She blew it off as stress on her part or immaturity, a favorite thing for her to throw in my face over the whole relationship because of our age gap. Immaturity on my part. Intimacy between us stopped as she lost all interest in me, and then it happened. Ooh, what happened? The revelation? Big giant mess. Once a cheater, always a cheater, and there's certain careers you should avoid like the plague in gals that you date. Nurses. Well, I came home and found her at home early one day. She was sitting on her bed crying. I sat with her and asked her, almost begged her to please, to talk to me. Smack! Never beg, guys. She told me she was, drumroll, pregnant. For a fleeting moment, I was overjoyed. Then my brain began to engage. I suddenly remembered how long it had been since we had intimacy. I could see it in her face. I asked her, for how long, or how far along? 8 weeks, she said. It had been over 4 months since we had our last been intimate. I got up and left the room. Good for you. This is when you get up and leave the house. Or, well, you want to leave the house permanently because they might use that as abandonment or whatever. But the point is, she should leave the house. Sucks it happened to this guy. I'm sorry it did, but he had to suffer to finally wake up. Well, she ran after me, looking back and comparing the conversation that followed against the accounts of people's experiences in this very sub. I'm amazed how the wayward spouse, they all say the same things. It was just that one time, she said, or I didn't mean anything. I only ever loved you. Of all the lies they tell, the last one stings the most. I told her I was leaving the house and would be back in 1 hour. Then I would listen to what she had to say. I was shaking, furious, angry, and all honesty, it probably would not have ended well for either of us if I had stayed. Good. I'm glad he got out of there. Remember, this guy's in the military. His military training. That ain't going to help him if he does anything. And frankly, she can make things up. He just yells at her. Next thing you know, the police are showing up. And, well, he did this, he did that. I drove to an empty parking lot and cried my heart out. Can't blame you, man. That's okay. No shame in it. Just don't let her see you cry. I think I mean that literally because something inside me broke during that hour. My heart died. It literally turned to ice, and it is still to this day. When I went home, I was cold, emotionless. I didn't need to act like the Greystone. I had become one in truth. That happens to some guys. Sometimes guys just boom, they're done. They change in an instant. She insisted that we could get past this. She saw how happy I was when she first told me before I realized. She commented on how we always wanted to start a family. Yeah, with a sane wife who loved me and then cheat on me, and it was indeed my child in your belly, not freaking Chatter Tyrone's child in your belly. She threw the baby's innocence in my face and how he or she would need a father. It's always the same bullshit. This went on for nearly 20 minutes as I sat and stared at her in complete and emotionless silence. Finally, she looked at me and asked to please say something. I told her that she is asking for reconciliation, but nearly every word she is telling me is a lie. I told her she wants me to even think about it. She needs to start by telling me the truth. Good luck there, man. The version of the story I was told after that is the same affair partner all along, even from the prior year. It was always and only physical. She never loved him. She loved me. He is not interested in having any kind of relationship with her other than physical. He is pressuring her to terminate the pregnancy. She doesn't want to. She wanted a family and wanted it with me. Yeah, again, I can tell just how much you want a family since we haven't gotten it on in 4 months and how you've been treating me and all that. And, oh yeah, you're cheating on me. Yeah, I can tell how you love me and only me, honey. See, in her mind, if she just does this enough times and says the same crap over and over again and cries and hugs him and all that, eventually he'll take her back like he did before, and the same process will repeat. That's why you don't take back a cheater. Don't buy this crap they're saying from the Hobag Handbook. I looked at her and I told her the marriage is over. It's been over for 1.5 years, but I was just now finding out about it. I told her to pack whatever she needed for 3 days and to please leave the house. I told her I'd meet with her in 3 days to discuss what came next. She refused to leave. She kept trying to talk to me. Ordinarily, her tears would have broken my resolve, but I looked at her that night and felt nothing. The part of me that loves had died. I went to the guest room and locked the door. It's always a shame when a guy's heart dies, and guess who usually does that? But in a situation like this, he needs that to see this through and get rid of her. The next day, I spoke to several attorneys and hired one of them. The paternity of the child was more than enough proof for an at-fault divorce. I had no desire to wait that long, and we discussed uncontested and mediation. When I got home, she actually tried to be intimate with me. Of course she did. She's like, well, the waterworks didn't work, so now I'll try effing his brains out and roping him in that way. I was shocked and disgusted with her. I told her that would never happen again. We agreed on an outline for divorce. The biggest asset was our house. The majority of our debt was her student loan. Notice he said the majority of our debt was her student loan. Welcome to marriage, gentlemen. What a shitty deal. I gave up my ownership interest in the home so she could sell it. She was going to keep the baby, and I wanted her to have that money. Smack! I wouldn't have done that. Oh, hell no. Not unless the lawyer told me to do it, and a good lawyer. Let her lover finance that baby. She can sue him for child support or whatever. But clearly he just wanted to be done with her and away from her as far as possible, and he probably felt bad for the kid. And you know what? I feel bad for that kid too, because that kid is going to have a bad life with her as the mother and a never-ending revolving door of dudes. I want nothing but to walk free from her. In the end, I kept nothing other than my Jeep, my military sea bag full of clothes, and a few tools, firearms, and military mementos. Mostly things that were mine before we were married. Everything in that house, everything that she had touched was just tainted to me. I want nothing from this marriage but to bury it in the past. Okay, that's his choice. I can't blame him. Well, the divorce finalized 13 months later. I saw her twice during the mediation. We barely spoke. She was very pregnant by then. I thought that would be hard to see, but I felt nothing for her. No love, no hate, nothing. She was a stranger to me. Well, good. He was indifferent. I moved to Florida and took a job as an underpaid but also underworked civil servant. I have a very simple life now. I bought and renovated a small house on the Gulf Coast. I bought a boat and go fishing almost every weekend. I have very few friendships and have dated very little. I have trust issues now. I really don't enjoy the company of other people. I find myself suspicious of the attentions of women, especially ones I'm attracted to. Well, you know what? He's been R-pilled and been through hell. And every guy should be suspicious of every chick that shows interest. You know, it's like the saying in X-Men 2, when Magneto said, "Never trust a beautiful woman, especially one who's interested in you." That should be on every fucking wall of every single guy, every bachelor out there, because it's the truth. Even if you got a lot going for you. Can't blame him. I'm 27 years old now. I'm very physically fit, and some girls find me attractive. But the idea of an intimate relationship with someone, trusting them to that level, I don't think I can do it. Not for a very long time, anyway. I'm the opposite of the man I used to be in almost every way. All my love now is reserved for a happy black Labrador retriever that I adopted. Well, there you go. That's the real love you're going to get. The devotion of a good dog. Yeah. She goes almost everywhere with me. I'm not exactly happy. I still got upset when something triggers me to remember my ex and all that happened. I still sometimes feel a tremendous and overempowering sense of loss. I know I've lost nothing because I really had nothing, but I can't help how I feel. The beauty of my job is mostly work alone, and I'm in the outdoors. I can often take my dog to work with me. If I haven't found happiness in divorce life, at least I found peace. I'll take it. All guys want peace, and yet they enter situations and scenarios that gives them the exact opposite of peace. It gives them chaos in varying degrees. Well, you know what? I think this guy needs exactly this. The nice Florida weather most of the year. Working outdoors. Can take his dog along with him every day. Great. Fishing on the weekend with his dog in the freaking boat. That's a really good place to be right now for him. I think he got to go back to finishing a degree in civil engineering. He can get a much better job, but maybe in time. Last week, the past I thought I buried 2 years ago reached out from the grave. Of course it did, because they always come back. She called my phone. I don't know how she got my number. It couldn't have been that hard, as I wasn't exactly hiding. We spoke for an hour. Why? Why the hell would you talk to her, man? It was amicable at first, and she made it sound as though she just wanted to see how I'm doing and catch up. Yeah, there's no ulterior motive at all there. But the hidden purpose of the call was to feel me out about some kind of recognition. She gave birth to a healthy baby girl 2 years prior. Paternity was never in question because of the timing. The affair partner wasn't present for the birth and had little interaction with his daughter. Shocker! That's how Chad and Tyrone roll. I just feel bad for the girl. You know, I mean, no matter what, this woman is going to be bad, no matter what gender the child is, but especially a girl. Now that girl's going to have daddy issues and all that. The life of a single mom is hard, although she was getting support from the affair partner. Apparently, she had to take him to court for it. She was lonely and unhappy. I told her I was sorry to hear she was unhappy, but it was not my problem. That's right, bro. It's not your problem. I'm glad you told her that. I wouldn't tell her I'm sorry you're unhappy. In fact, I'd be quite happy she's not happy. I told her she had broken my heart, and it was still broken today. I told her in as many words I did not love her, could not love anyone, and wanted nothing to do with her. I said to her that she made all the choices for all of us. for her, for me, and for the daughter. She left me but one choice, and that was to walk away from her. I asked her not to contact me again. Well, very good. I still want to talk to her dumbass for an hour. The final similarity between all of our stories on this sub is this: a selfish person making a selfish choice and damaging the lives of 3 people, one of whom not even born yet. If there was one thing I wish I could make cheaters understand before they make the selfish choices, that they are hurting everybody around them and possibly everyone around their AP. But if they're already selfish enough to cheat, it's likely they won't care. The end. And yeah, you know what? They're not going to care. Because typically people like that are narcissists. And narcissists, number one, think they're the God's gift to the world. And two, if you've been around somebody you're certain is a narcissist, notice that no matter what it is, they're never wrong. It's always somebody else that caused a problem, whatever that may be. There's a conflict or something like that. And they think they're the most amazing people ever. Men or women, goes both ways. It's crazy. But anyhow, I'm sorry this guy went through all that, but and he's obviously in the stage where he's getting his life back together. And I think it's a good situation with the dog and being outside, being outdoors and all that, except for July and August in Florida, and then June while we're at it. But he's on the path to recovery. But isn't it hilarious? They always come back. That's what happened there. And big surprise, Chatter Tyrone, the second it stopped being fun, boom, he's done. That guy's he's out of there. And the only way she got any attention from that guy, his money, is by suing him. So there you go, guys. It's an unfortunate situation, but at least this guy moved on and got rid of her. And obviously the ex isn't doing so well. That's usually how it goes. All right, guys, that is it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And guys, you find a good story you want me to cover, send it my way, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good story, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.